Hello, this tutorial is the last episode in this series. In it, I'll build another elegant animated title. It uses track motion and event keyframing, combined with Bezier masking to achieve the animation and the border effect. This is the finished title. You may notice that the border has a glow effect. This is an option in the track motion properties, and unfortunately isn't supported in Movie Studio Platinum. So MSP users will need to skip the part of the tutorial that describes how to apply the glow. The images in the corners of the frame are characters in the font Classics. I'll put a download link for this font in the description. The other font used is Imperator Small Caps, and I'll do the same for that. Due to the complex animation sequences, I've made a note of the various parameter values, which I'll refer to during the tutorial. This will save time. As always, I must point out that frame values and dimensions are correct for the PAL Full HD TV system. Note also that certain horizontal values are tied to the length of my text elements, so a certain amount of experimentation will be required to accommodate longer or shorter text strings. This particular title requires 7 tracks. It's a good idea to name the tracks to describe the events they contain. I'm going to start with the title background. This will be a gradient, so I'll drag the sunburst preset onto track 7. I need to change the properties of this preset. So first I'll select control point 1. And the color values for this need to be 19, 0 and 215. Now I'll select control point 2 and change the color values to 36, 0, 134. On control point 1, the distance is 0.020. And control point 2, the distance is 0.543. Now the frame. This consists of a solid color event with a Bezier mask applied. I need the solid color options and pull an event down onto track 6. Doesn't matter what color it is because I'm going to change these values. So they will be 1 and 0.59, 0, and leave the alpha at 1. Next comes the resizing using track motion. So I need to open up track motion for track 6. As you can see, the track motion icon isn't there, so I'll need to go to Edit Visible Button Set and put a check mark there. First thing I need to do is check that the lock aspect ratio isn't selected. We'll leave the X and the Y at 0 and change the width to 1734.38 and the height to 877.5. And just something I forgot to do. I forgot to move the cursor to the beginning of the event. So I will do that now and just copy that. Paste that there. Go to that keyframe and delete it. Now you notice that there's a glow around this event. That's because there's a check mark in 2D glow. I must have left that in from the last time I was working on it. So if that isn't in, you need to put a check mark in there. You'll note that this isn't available in Movie Studio Platinum, so that can't be done if you're using Movie Studio Platinum. In the 2D properties, set the blur to 0.9. Oops, I need to select that. Set the blur to 0.9. And I need to change the width to 1745.1 and the height to 887.5. I need to double check that because that doesn't seem right. Well, those values are right. We'll see what it's like when I put the Bezier mask on it. So I'm now going to apply a Bezier mask. The width needs to be 0.991 and the height needs to be 0.983. The location is right, it's the default. And I need to place a check mark in the invert box. Now that's looking better. I'll just check that out. Yes, that's looking a lot better. Now comes the center horizontal line. This is simply a coloured line with no animation. So again, I'll pull another solid colour event down there. Now these values need to be 0.77, 0.49, 0 and 1. I'll now resize the event with track motion. The width value should be 788.31. And the height should be 5.37. Now comes the end line. This is a short animated line that the text elements appear to emerge from. We need another solid colour event. And with this, the colour needs to be 0.5, 0. Now for the animation. At the start of the event, the X value should be minus 387.3. Y stays at 0. The width is 14.3. And the height is 0. Now I intend for the title to have a short intro fade in of 1 second and 9 frames. So I have to allow this to complete before the line starts animating. I'll cursor forward to 1 second 21 frames and add a keyframe. This is the start of the animation and needs to complete in 8 frames. So I need to go forward 8 frames. That's more than 8 frames. I'll just do that again. I need to open that timeline out. At this point, X remains at minus 387.3, but Y is now 67.2. The width remains at 14.3, but the height changes to 134.6. Now this line needs to remain in this position until the main text has completed its animation, which is at 3 seconds 7 frames. So I'll move forward to 3 seconds 15 frames and add a keyframe. This is the start of the second animation. This will complete in 12 frames, so I'll cursor forward to 4 seconds 2 frames and add a keyframe. At this point, y should be minus 65.88. It now needs to remain in this position until the subtext has completed its animation, which is 5 seconds 3 frames. But I need to allow a bit extra on that one, so I'll move it to 5 seconds 10 frames. This will be the start of the final animation. I now need to advance the cursor 12 frames and add a keyframe. So that'll be 5 seconds 22 frames. Now at this point the position values are y equals 0 and height equals 0. Now need to check that animation for any errors. Now that's on best full, which made it a little bit jerky, so we'll make it preview half and try again. That's better. Close that down. Now the main text. I'll just go to the titles and text and pull an event down onto track 3. Now the animation for this is achieved by using the keyframe controller on the titles and text properties box and Bezier masking. So first I'll change attributes on this. Change the font to Imperator small caps. If you haven't got this, I'll leave a link in the description where it can be downloaded from. I need the size to be 12 and the colour needs to be 1.75 and the location needs to be 0.09. That's the X coordinate, and 0.57. And I'm going to change the text to I now need to enable location animation, so I have to drag that out a little bit and click that icon. Cursor needs to be at the start of the event, and this text element needs to start animating after the end line has completed its initial animation, which is at 2 seconds 4 frames. So I'll allow a further 7 frames before the text animation. So that's 2 seconds 11 frames. And I'll add a keyframe. I'll allow 21 frames for the animation, so I'll add a keyframe at 3 seconds 7 frames. And I'll change the X coordinate there to 0.5. And to prevent the animation stopping abruptly, I'll change that fade type to fast fade. Now what I need to do is create a Bezier mask to cover that, so when it moves it will appear to be coming from behind that line. So I'll apply Bezier mask to the event. Now the width for this mask needs to be 0.315. And the height needs to be 0.113. And the location values are 0.149. And 0.560. And then the checkbox needs checking. I'll now check that animation. Okay. Now comes the subtext. The animation for this is achieved in the same way as for the main text. As this event will be similar to the main text event, I'll copy and paste it onto track 2. Now I need to change some of these attributes. So I need to open up the properties for this one. First thing to do is change this text string. This has to be and the size needs to be 10. And the Y value needs to be changed to 0.43. And now I need to change the keyframe sequence, Because the transition time is the same as that for the main text, I just need to select the two keyframes and move them so that the first keyframe is located at the 4-second 6-frame mark. Go. The Y values of these two keyframes now need changing to that of the initial keyframe. Now the Bezier mask now needs altering slightly, so I will bring the cursor back to the beginning and bring that down to cover. I'll take that check mark out first so I can see what's happening. I need to check that this Y location is, sorry, the X location is in the correct position, so that that is in the right position. So I will check the previous one, the main text, and that is at 0.149. And that is at 1.143, so I need to change that to 0.149. Right. Oh. What did I forget? Forgot to put a check mark back. Okay, we got there. Now the last element are the corner characters. Again, that's a titles and text event. These are going to add a little bit of elegance to the title and are characters from the font Classics. And again, if you haven't got the font Classics, I'll leave a link to where you can download it from in the description. The attributes for this need changing. The anchor point needs changing to top left. And as I said, the font type to Classics. Go. And the size is 36. And the location is 0.08 and 0.89. I need to change the colour to yellow. Now what you need to do here is type in X, that's lowercase x, 12 spaces, now lowercase p, and 3 carriage returns, lowercase t, 14 spaces, and then lowercase r. Now I need to look at that because that doesn't quite look right. Yes, this top location isn't right. Just drop that down a bit. Oh, that looks better. Yes. Can now close that down. And finally I need to create a fade of 1 second 9 frames at either end of each event. So to do this quickly I can select all the events. Control A will do that. And then give it a fade. And a fade at the front. And check it out. Okay, that concludes this series of 8 episodes. I hope I've shown that with some imagination and patience, you don't need third-party plugins to create quite interesting titles and lower thirds. All the tools are there natively in Vegas Pro and Movie Studio Platinum. If you found these tutorials useful, please consider subscribing. Watch out for a future tutorial where I will detail a number of time-saving tips which I hope will make your editing experience more productive. Until the next time, bye for now.